Some decisions reveal more about you than years of self-analysis. Not because they are logical, but because they are made before logic has time to interfere. Right now, you are being invited into one of those moments. In front of you are 4 horses. They are not ordinary animals. Each one carries a different energy, a different presence, a different emotional weight. Before your mind starts comparing colors, meanings, or stories, pause. Take a breath. Let your eyes rest on them. Horse 1. The instinctual. If you chose the first horse, you are deeply connected to instinct. Not in a primitive sense, but in a profoundly human one. This horse represents raw psychological energy. The part of you that reacts before it explains, feels before it justifies, and moves before it hesitates. People drawn to this horse often live close to their emotions. You may feel things intensely: passion, anger, desire, enthusiasm, frustration. These emotions are not weaknesses. They are signals. Your psyche is highly responsive to the world around you, and your body often knows the truth before your mind has time to interpret it. You trust your gut, even when you cannot fully explain why. From a Jungian perspective, this horse is closely linked to the instinctual layer of the psyche, the foundation upon which consciousness is built. Instinct is what keeps us alive, but it is also what pushes us toward authenticity. You are likely someone who struggles with repression. When you try to ignore what you feel, tension builds quickly. Your inner world demands expression. This can make you appear bold, impulsive, or emotionally intense to others. You may be told that you are too much, too sensitive, too reactive, too passionate. But what often goes unrecognized is your courage. It takes strength to feel deeply in a world that rewards emotional distance. It takes resilience to remain connected to instinct when so many are disconnected from themselves. However, this horse also reveals a challenge. When instinct dominates without reflection, it can lead to exhaustion, conflict, or regret. Acting purely from emotion may bring short-term relief, but long-term consequences. Your growth does not come from suppressing instinct, but from learning how to listen to it without being controlled by it. There is a natural leadership quality in people who choose this horse. Others may follow you not because you are calculated, but because you are alive. Your presence carries energy. You bring movement into stagnant situations. You remind people that life is meant to be felt, not merely managed. At the same time, your path often involves learning patience, not as restraint, but as awareness. When instinct and consciousness work together, you become powerful in a balanced way. You act with clarity, not chaos. If this horse called to you, ask yourself, where in your life are you being asked to honor your true feelings instead of explaining them away? Where have you ignored instinct for the sake of comfort or approval? Your psyche is not asking you to slow down your fire. It is asking you to guide it. Horse 2. The silent depths. If the second horse drew your attention, your inner world is likely quieter than most, but far from empty. This horse represents depth, introspection, and the psychological strength that comes from observing rather than reacting. You are someone who processes life internally, often long before you allow others to see what you feel. People connected to this horse tend to move carefully through the world. You listen more than you speak. You notice details others overlook. Shifts in tone, emotional undercurrents, unspoken tensions. While some mistake this for distance or passivity, it is actually a sign of emotional intelligence. You do not rush to respond because you understand the weight of words and actions. In Jungian terms, This horse symbolizes a strong relationship with the inner observer, the part of the psyche that reflects, integrates, and gives meaning to experience. You are naturally inclined toward self-examination. Silence does not scare you. In fact, it often feels like home. Your thoughts deepen when the world becomes quiet. This depth, however, comes with a paradox. Because you contain so much internally, others may never fully understand you. You might have learned early in life that expressing emotions openly did not feel safe or effective. As a result, you developed a rich inner life as a form of protection. This is not weakness. It is adaptation. Yet adaptation can slowly become isolation. If you are not careful, when emotions remain unspoken for too long, they do not disappear. They settle. Over time, this can create a sense of emotional heaviness, even when nothing appears wrong on the surface. You may feel tired without knowing why, or disconnected even when surrounded by people. Your strength lies in your capacity for reflection, but your growth lies in selective expression. Not everyone needs access to your inner world, but someone should. Depth becomes wisdom only when it is allowed to move outward, even gently. Those who choose this horse often carry a quiet form of leadership. You influence others not through volume or force, but through presence. People feel calmer around you, even if they cannot explain why. You remind them that stillness has value in a noisy world. Ask yourself, where in your life are you holding back words that need to be spoken? Where has silence protected you, and where has it limited you? Your psyche is not asking you to become louder. It is asking you to trust that your voice, when used, matters. Horse 3. The Transformer. If the third horse captured your attention, you are someone who feels most alive in movement. This horse represents freedom, transformation, and the deep psychological need to evolve. You are not comfortable staying the same for too long, not because you are unstable, but because your inner world is constantly reshaping itself. People drawn to this horse often sense when a phase of life has reached its limit, even if nothing is visibly wrong. Routine can feel suffocating. Repetition drains your energy. You may have changed paths, identities, or dreams more than once. Not out of confusion, but out of an instinctive understanding that growth requires motion. From a Jungian perspective, this horse reflects a strong connection to the process of individuation, the ongoing transformation of the self. You are less interested in fixed labels and more drawn to potential. You do not ask, "Who am I?" as much as "Who am I becoming?" This forward-oriented psyche thrives on discovery, challenge, and renewal. However, the desire for freedom carries its own shadow. Constant movement can sometimes mask avoidance. When change happens too quickly, it may serve as an escape from unresolved emotions or uncomfortable truths. You may fear stagnation, but what you truly fear is being trapped in a version of yourself that no longer fits. Those who choose this horse often struggle with patience, not because they lack discipline, but because waiting feels like standing still. Yet some transformations require stillness before they can unfold. Learning when to move and when to pause is a crucial lesson for you. Your strength lies in your adaptability. You recover quickly. You reinvent yourself with courage. You are willing to leave behind what no longer serves you, even when others cling to familiarity. This makes you inspiring, but it can also make you lonely. Not everyone can keep up with your pace of inner change. Ask yourself, are you moving toward something or away from something? Freedom becomes meaningful when it is guided by intention, not restlessness. Your psyche is not asking you to stop evolving. It is asking you to become conscious of why you evolve. Horse 4. The shadow. If the fourth horse is the one you chose, you are drawn to what lies beneath the surface. This horse represents the shadow, a concept Carl Jung used to describe the parts of ourselves that were rejected, hidden, or pushed into darkness in order to be accepted, loved, or safe. People who resonate with this horse often feel different from an early age. You may have sensed that certain traits, your intensity, sensitivity, anger, ambition, or independence, were not welcomed by others. Over time, you learned to conceal these parts, not because they were wrong, but because they were powerful. What society cannot easily understand, it often asks us to hide. The shadow is not evil. It is simply unconscious, and within it lives enormous strength. Choosing this horse suggests that you carry abilities you have not fully claimed. There may be talents you downplay, boundaries you hesitate to enforce, or truths you avoid expressing. Often this happens because acknowledging them would require change in relationships, roles, or identity. The shadow grows heavier when it is ignored, and lighter when it is understood. From a Jungian perspective, shadow integration is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming whole. The parts of you that feel uncomfortable, contradictory, or intense are not obstacles to growth. They are gateways. What you suppress does not disappear. It waits. And when it emerges unconsciously, it often does so through conflict, self-sabotage, or projection onto others. You may notice strong emotional reactions to certain people. Irritation, admiration, envy, or judgment can all be clues pointing toward shadow material. These reactions are mirrors, not mistakes. They show you qualities you either deny in yourself or long to reclaim. Those drawn to this horse often possess deep resilience. You have survived emotional complexity that others never had to face. You understand pain not as weakness, but as information. This gives you a rare capacity for empathy, and also a responsibility to yourself. Ask yourself, what parts of me am I still hiding to maintain harmony or approval? What would happen if I allowed myself to be fully seen? Your psyche is not asking you to eliminate the shadow. It is asking you to walk beside it, consciously, courageously, and without shame. Now that all four horses have revealed their meanings, one final question remains. What happens when these forces are no longer separated, but integrated? Your choice of horse was not a label. It was a signal. Each horse represents a dominant psychological force: instinct, depth, transformation, or shadow. But no human being is made of only one. The purpose of this test is not to place you into a category, but to reveal which part of your psyche is currently asking for attention. Carl Jung believed that true psychological growth comes from integration, not identification. When we cling too strongly to one aspect of ourselves, we lose balance. Instinct without reflection becomes chaos. Silence without expression becomes isolation. Transformation without grounding becomes restlessness. Shadow without awareness becomes self-sabotage. Your chosen horse shows where your energy naturally flows. The other horses show what may be underdeveloped, ignored, or waiting in the background. Growth begins when you recognize this dynamic honestly. If you chose the horse of instinct, integration means learning when to pause, not to suppress your feelings, but to guide them. If you chose the horse of silence, integration means allowing safe expression, letting your inner world be witnessed without fear. If you chose the horse of transformation, integration means learning when stillness is necessary for deeper change. And if you chose the horse of shadow, integration means reclaiming hidden strengths without shame or apology.